Hi, hello, and welcome to Skipping the Small Talk with Empower Autism, a podcast where we discuss everyday experiences, autism-affirming advice, and more. I'm the host. My name's Riley, and I'm here today with Tamara.
Hey, how you going?
This is a new series that we're doing, so I thought we'd just test it out a little bit today and just chat a bit about why we're doing this and what exactly we're doing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
So, why is Empower Autism starting a podcast?
Yeah, it's such a good question. Riley, we use a lot of social media platforms as it is to communicate with our community and our groups that work with us. But again, podcasts are another avenue that we probably haven't looked into yet. And I know personally, I love a good podcast. I tend to drive a lot for work, so I listen to them quite a bit. So for us here, it was another channel at Empower Autism to be able to communicate with our community, but really on matters that are important to them. So there's a lot of our autistic community who have a lot of discussion topics they'd like to talk about that we've heard about, and we thought this might be a good opportunity to talk about not only what we're doing and experiencing, but some of our community has some great ideas and experiences as well. So we thought this might be a good opportunity.
Yeah, we've talked about a lot of different people who might like to chat to in the future, and there's kind of endless opportunities.
Yeah.
I've been keeping a list of topics that we might want to talk about, and it just keeps growing and growing
Yeah.
and growing. I think podcast is a really good format because it's long form as opposed to regular social media is quite fast and you can't really talk about things in very much depth. So yeah, I'm hoping it's a good space for us to like have more meaningful conversations and relate to one another, just tell stories. And yeah, I think it's also a good space where maybe people can feel a bit more comfortable because we have a lot of people who like don't necessarily want to be on camera, which is very understandable.
Yeah, I get that sometimes.
It's a bit hard when like you have a short amount of time on social media and you have to say all these things in like 30 seconds and like present yourself with like a script and everything. So yeah, I'm hoping it's just a bit more relaxed.
Yeah, and I think this is a nice environment where, as you say, talking about those, being able to have deeper conversations and really in a way that suits people either watching or listening. It doesn't have to be from the scrolling either.
Yeah, I think we're Casey talked about this a little bit recently. He's really very keen on it because he's hoping to get people out of the doom scrolling into rabbit holes. Which I thought was an interesting way to put it. Because I don't know, I've never thought about like rabbit holes as the goal, but I guess that's kind of true.
I think it's interesting. I think we all experience social media differently, but also I think we all experienced how we like to digest information differently, and I think this is a really good opportunity, having a podcast, particularly to get some of our own staff, to get some of our community, to get some experts in to talk about different things that are important and explore maybe some of the more uncomfortable topics as well, to which might provide help to people in the future.
Yeah. Were there any topics that you were excited to hear about?
Look, like when you were talking to me about the long list, look, there's so many topics. I'm learning myself, even though I work here and I'm surrounded by fantastic humans. I'm always learning every day, and I think some of the topics for me that I'd love to hear more about and hear from different people's perspectives is particularly around their experiences, like what are the barriers for them in community? What does that look like, and how there's some really creative ways that people are going about navigating some of the life barriers that they might have, and I think I'm really interested to hear more from the community around what that looks like. So and to hear from some of the people that are working with us as well around why they work here and what difference it might be making to the community.
I think it's really interesting too when people talk about like experiences that you might relate to and you're like, oh yeah, other people have been through this and it's like this is like how they went about it, and maybe I can relate to that or feel some comfort in that, or I can learn something from it, which is sometimes even better. Well, I originally had this idea to talk about our life skills program because we cover a lot of topics in there, and I think just the names of the topics alone sound pretty like vague and a bit boring. But they're like built on real people's experiences, and they are genuinely really helpful modules. Like sometimes I'll read like even just the PowerPoints for them and be like, wow, I didn't know that. That was actually really cool. And like, actually, I do have a use case for this. So I think it's just a good opportunity to like talk about like why are we doing these modules and like what are people's experiences that like led to that, particularly with our trainers.
Yeah, it'd be great. I'd love to hear from our trainers. I have the privilege of sort of sitting in the office and seeing them go past and when we do our programs, and I'm really interested to hear their views and also what they're hearing from our community, because that's something that you know I'm really interested in, and also you said before around learning yourself from the modules. I think that's the beauty as well, because there's some tips and tricks in, say, budgeting, which I think if that might be one of our first ones.
Budgeting is our first
Is it?
module that we're doing.
Fantastic.
February 3rd.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. That's awesome.
Very soon.
Because for me, like even budgeting, sometimes around the emotions, not thinking about when we're purchasing items, when we're, if we're bored or if we're, sometimes, and I definitely gravitate to online shopping sometimes. So even some of the things that we can learn that we might not always think about in our day-to-day lives as well is important. But no, I'm excited. I mean, this is an opportunity. We haven't gone down this path before. So I'm excited to see where it will evolve, how it will evolve. And also I think being able to hear from you, from our community as well. I think that's really important, because ultimately we want to be providing content that's useful for our community.
Yeah, and I think if anyone has any topics they would like to hear us talk about, or if anyone would like to come and talk to us, let us know. We're always open to talking to new people.
Absolutely.
Getting to know our community. This podcast was partially inspired by me seeing a podcast by the Hidden Disability Sunflower. So they actually have the Sunflower Conversations, which is sort of a similar setup where they just talk about their experiences with hidden disability. And I think the one I saw in particular was autism related. I just saw it when I was scrolling and I stopped and I listened to it and I was like, wow, I actually do relate to this. And usually I don't get that out of, just like, this was a clip on Instagram, just like a little thing on Instagram. Usually I don't connect to that as well.
Yeah. And I think, I'm a huge podcast fan. I listen to podcasts. So I have an hour drive to and from work, and I'm often on the road for work as well. So I love that time to educate myself, to hear other stories. And I think I've listened to that podcast as well. I've listened to a lot of different podcasts. I think what excites me about this podcast, and other podcasts out there do this as well, around that lived experience. I think that's really important, and real life stories and that education piece as well. So I think that's something I'm looking forward to. And there's some great podcasts out there that talk about autism, talk about experiences, and I think hopefully we can in this podcast build on that as well, and the content, hopefully what we hear from community too, and the guests that we have on, we can, build our and learn together. I think it's really nice to have a conversational space where we can have conversation that excites us. Maybe it challenges us sometimes too, and we'll learn something. So I think I'm kind of excited to see how it plays out.
Yeah, we've just done the first round of filming with one mystery guest.
It's been
exciting. Very exciting. It's been a lot of fun. There were so many topics that we didn't even get to. There's just so much to discuss that I didn't even think about until we got into it.
Yeah,
it's
quite
really
easy to fill that time, isn't it?
Yeah. So in terms of like how we're scheduling things and how we're setting them out, just to give people an idea, we're aiming for like 15 to 20 minute videos to start with. But sometimes we like to talk a lot. There's definitely room to expand that. I think a lot of podcasts these days are like 30 minutes to an hour.
Yeah.
So we'll see how we go. In terms of scheduling, we're thinking, I think I told you initially 1 per week.
Yeah.
I think maybe we'll aim for 1 every 2 weeks to begin with.
I mean, that's us being excited that we might be able to do 1 a week. But even if we can do every second week. And I think also the beauty of this podcast is it's flexible. I think, particularly with all the different needs that we have and that community has, sometimes we've got to be flexible in how we go about our podcast. So there might be times where it might be 3 weeks and maybe then back to 2 weeks. So I love that it provides a space where everyone feels safe to turn up and communicate how they want to. Yeah.
And for now, the first official episode we're hoping will release sometime next week, later next week, about our Empower Life Skills module, our first one for the year.
Fantastic.
Planning and budgeting.
So, that's good. That's excited about planning and budgeting.
Yeah, with the new year coming in, we're all a bit excited about organizing things, goal setting and that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good to have a few modules to start off the year, sort of around, recovering from last year and setting yourself up for success in the future.
Yeah. And I think that's, I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah. And the other thing I wanted to ask you was, what do you think of the name?
It's funny because often I've been involved in lots of conversations around naming things before, and sometimes it's really hard to get a name and get it right, and a name that like connects. When you told me, I think I was quite excited when you came to my door. I really like it because I guess in a lot of situations in daily life, we are on the go, we're busy. And even when we want to listen or we want to watch to a podcast, I think a lot of our community, I know that we want to get right to the point.
Yeah.
We don't want to muck around with sort of the small talk. We're like, no, we've got lots of things to discuss and they're kind of meaty topics to discuss. So I think it really is appropriate for us at Empower Autism, appropriate for our community, skipping the small talk, because a lot of us don't like doing the small talk anyway.
Yeah, well, that's the other thing. I think it was partially inspired by, autistic people don't typically love to do any of the small talk, but also I think in practice, like in our community, we also don't really engage in small talk. Like we've had a lot of conversations in the office just at lunch that are like a lot deeper and maybe a bit more serious than I would expect, but like really engaging.
Yeah, I've enjoyed them. I think this is exciting to see that come to life here in this podcast. So no, I'm very much, I guess we'd love your feedback as well, like on the name, because this is for you, for community. So absolutely happy to.
We're really trying to steer away from naming things autism something or empower something, because we do have a bit of a habit of that, and it gets a bit confusing.
We do, don't we?
So hopefully this is, for some reason in my mind, anytime something starts with like a vowel, because it's not even like, not everything is starting with A, for example, like autism, but even just the fact that it's E and A, it gets confused in my brain.
Yeah. And I think it's just, I really like it. I think it's exciting.
Yeah, I think, did you have anything else to share with us today?
No, I think this is for you, the podcast we're putting on for our community and for the broader community. It's something we'd like to see evolve. It's another channel and area that we can use to spark conversations, thought-provoking conversations, but also feedback. Like we would love to hear from our community as well around what they're thinking and feeling. And if you have anyone that you'd love to see on the podcast as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, thank you for joining me, and thank you for joining us as we chat about this. Hopefully stick around for next week. It'll get a lot more exciting.
It will.
If you're on YouTube, subscribe.
Absolutely.
And, we'll see you there. Bye.
See ya. Bye.